So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first?
Bicycle, bicycle, bicycle. I want to ride my bicycle, bicycle, bicycle. I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride my bike.
Oh, hello, Roanoke. Welcome to T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show, where we go after the best people, places, and things to do in our fair city. Big thanks to our studio band and my special guest host, Mr. G. Now, on with the show. Before we start tonight, I want to ask my co-host G a few simple questions. G, do you own a bike?
Currently, yes, I do.
I see. Do you know how to ride it?
I do know how to ride a bike, yes.
Okay, good. And if you had a bike, you could probably ride it down to the newest bike shop in Roanoke, and certainly, in my opinion, the most unique, Downshift Bikes, which is on Campbell Avenue. Have you ever heard of it?
I have heard of it, and I've actually been here and had lunch.
How was it?
Great. Loved it.
Well, that's good, because the owner's right here, Steve Ambrose. Steve, welcome.
What do you know? Hey, Steve.
Hey, Steve, didn't know you were there.
Right?
Hey, welcome to Roanoke, sir.
Thank you.
How long has Downshift been here?
Downshift's been open for 2 months. We opened our doors on October 4th.
Okay, very good. And give the audience, we have a worldwide audience, and then we have a lot of people in West Virginia that listen as well.
Yeah.
Could you give the location of your store?
Sure. We're at 416 Campbell Avenue. We are at the corner, basically, of 5th and Campbell's in downtown Roanoke. If you're familiar with downtown, we're across from the Angels of Assisi Dog Rescue and adjacent to the YMCA.
Okay. Now, let's get this. We got a lot to unpack here, and there's a lot I want you to highlight, Steve. But let's get cut to the chase here real quick.
Yeah.
You have a very unique logo. It's coffee, beer, and bikes.
Yeah.
How, who, what, where, when, and why did you come up with that logo? And did Lance Armstrong have anything to do with it?
Lance was definitely not involved with the logo creation. The generation of the logo and the concept of the shop actually goes back about 5 years. I was an avid bike commuter in Alaska, and I wanted to make bike commuting be part of, where I wanted to end up. And so I didn't want to spend the rest of my life in Alaska. I knew I wanted to leave, and it ended up being a deciding factor to move to the southeast, particularly in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And so when I had that idea in mind, the mountains got incorporated into our logo, and the cafe component was always part of the idea of the bike shop. We wanted it to be accessible to lots of people. We wanted it to be different than any other bike shop around. We wanted to have a friendly environment, comfortable atmosphere, and so to do that, we wanted to have a coffee shop in there. And the coffee shop sort of snowballed into having beer in part of the bike shop as well. And so the logo has coffee, beer, and bikes all built into it. And that's kind of the story of the generation behind the logo.
Have you got any feedback on your logo?
Yeah, people say they see different shapes and they see different objects in the logo, which I think is sort of interesting. But we have gotten feedback in terms of people liking it and saying it's creative and where did it get done and who did it. So we've gotten some really great comments on it.
So you were in Alaska.
Yep.
And I guess you spun a globe and put your finger on it. And you hit Roanoke, right?
Yeah,
How'd you get here?
It's a really great story. I grew up in New Jersey, so I'm from the East Coast, but I went to Virginia Tech in the '90s for undergrad.
Okay.
So I was familiar with Roanoke. Truth be told, I never would have thought I would have been back to Roanoke. I left in 2001. Moved out west, and thought I was there full time. I thought that's where I was going to end up. After living in Alaska and being up north, I was tired of the cold. I wanted to be somewhere warmer, somewhere closer to family. My parents are on the East Coast. My partner's parents are on the East Coast. So both of us wanted to be somewhere where we could be a short drive away from home. We're at the point in our lives now where we're thinking about kids, and so it'd be nice to be closer to the grandparents. And Roanoke, honestly, I stopped in on a bike tour of the Blue Ridge Parkway about 2 years ago. So I was touring from the start of the parkway up at Rockfish Gap. Needed to come in for a peaceful night's sleep here at one of the great spots in Roanoke and beer and at Jack's Burger Bar.
Oh, yes.
And found out that Roanoke was different. I was actually really shocked. that there was new business, sort of a new vibe, new livelihood. Roanoke just felt completely different from what it was 15 years ago. I was blown away by it, and it ended up on my radar for places to move. So after I returned to Alaska, after I was done with that Blue Ridge Parkway tour, I talked to Beth and I said, hey, we should consider Roanoke. It has this great downtown, it's affordable, the city's really coming, up and coming, a lot of outdoor focus. And then so when we decided to move to Virginia, Roanoke was on our short list. So we interviewed a bunch of different cities around Virginia, around the southeast. We stopped in Charlottesville, we stopped in Charleston, we stopped in Asheville, Chattanooga. I mean, it was a really long list. It took us about a year to kind of figure out where we wanted to end up. And Charlottesville ended up actually being the top of that list. But after about 6 months of looking for a job for Beth, looking for retail space for Downshift, and looking to buy a house, we figured out that none of those things were happening. And I ended up attending a small business networking event at Roanoke College, which was put on by the Experience program here.
Okay.
Met some really fantastic people. And the people and the stories that they told and the reasons that they were there, which were primarily focused on building Roanoke's community, making Roanoke a great place to live, bringing good talent and new people and new blood into Roanoke, that really sold me on it. And I was like, I came home and I told Beth, I was like, we're moving to Roanoke. Like, the people there are so wonderful. It's got such a good feeling. It feels like home. And so we decided in early spring that Roanoke was what it was going to be. And then within 6 weeks, we bought a house, Beth found a job, and we found a retail space for Downshift. Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom. And here you are tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, so that's an impressive list of cities that Roanoke beat out.
Yeah.
Similarly hip cities, Chattanooga, Charlottesville. Was there an inspiration for this? Is there any other place like this anywhere?
There are several other bike and beer shops around the country. Nothing, in my opinion, nothing that does beers, bikes, and coffee in a way that is focused on urban and city riding. Asheville has a great shop called Beer City Bikes, which is a mountain bike focused shop that does beer. There's a shop in Portland, Oregon called Velo Cult, which is sort of a beer focused and kind of bike shop that's geared more towards like city riding, but a different level, like fixed gear riding. So it's a different style. Like, Downshift is kind of focused on casual, everyday cycling and cycling for transportation. So using your bike instead of using your car. That's our mission. And so I don't know of any other shop that does all three of those things all at once. I'm hoping that we're the only ones, but we are seeing more of these style of shops because it's a really great way to get people into riding.
Very ambitious, but just a great idea.
Well, I want to break it down, Steve, into those three components for our audience: the coffee, the bikes, and the beer.
Yeah.
And starting with the bikes, certainly the most important. You guys, you do repair here, or what are your services here?
Yeah, so we're a full-service bike shop. We do repair, we do custom builds, we do wheel truing, we do upgrades. We're working right now with two people actually who are doing frame-up builds. So what they've done is they purchased bicycle frames, and they're coming to us for advice on component levels. And they're going to work in the back and put their bikes on the repair stands, and we're going to work together and hopefully do it over a beer, where we can share some stories and have fun, basically building a custom bike exactly for what they want to do. So that's a really important part of the shop. Otherwise, we have commuter bikes, which are bicycles that we encourage people to ride from work to work from home. We do city bikes, meaning that like if you want to just kind of take your bike on the greenway, throw your bike on the car rack. We do adventure touring bikes, so if you want to tour the Blue Ridge Parkway, or if you want to do some gravel riding around the great state of Virginia here, we've got bikes for that. A wide variety of transportation options, in addition to our Yuba cargo bikes. So we have cargo bikes which are meant to carry kids and groceries, and some of them have up to 400 pounds of cargo capacity, so you can throw literally everything on there and bike around the city.
So you could go shopping
with
your bike and carry your groceries and whatever.
Yep. That front loader cargo bike we have outside.
Is that the one right there?
No, that's a medium tail cargo bike. So the front loader looks a little bit different. It's a big box bike. You see, they're really popular in overseas, like in Amsterdam.
Is that here? You have one here?
We do. Not today. It's not here at this moment, but it normally does come to the shop. I commute with it most days.
How long from idea to implementation was this?
Very long time, actually, 5 years, I would say. Yeah, it took me a while to, from the inception of the idea, I had to do, well, I didn't have to, I chose to do a number of years of research. The bicycle industry is changing. Online shopping has really changed how retail is managed and focused these days. And so I wanted to be smart about it. I definitely wanted to be conservative with how I ran things, and I wanted to make sure I was in the right city at the right time. And so all these factors weighed in terms of how I wanted to go about opening. And so, it was important for me to do the research. And fortunately, I have a great partner who's got a really steady job, and she's been really willing and helpful, and just a great person to be with in terms of like supporting me. And having that time and the ability to stay in my current job but still kind of work on the bike shop in the background, and then basically leave Alaska and leave my job and then be able to open this. That was really how the timing went into this. So the years of research, I was able to kind of work on my off hours, putting the time in to focus on Downshift.
Now, if I came up here, Steve, with a broken down bike, do you give free estimates?
Absolutely, yeah. So if you've got, let's just say you have a flat. We have a special, which is a flat fix and a coffee for $10, and so as I'm fixing your flat, if you have other issues, I can look at it and say, hey, it looks like your rear derailleur is out of true, we need to do some adjustments on that. That'll be $18. It's up to you if you want to do it. Bike's perfectly safe to ride, without it, but, if that's something that you'd like to get taken care of, we can do that.
That's a flat fix and coffee?
Yep, for $10.
Maybe for next year you might have a flat fix and six-pack to go?
We can do that too.
All right. So if I came in here with a broken down, what's the most common bike repair
what we
you
see are flats, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, we see
Okay.
more flats than anything else. Otherwise, it's a simple tune-up, which is usually consists of a derailleur adjustment and then a couple brake adjustments for both wheels, and that's about it. So we get people in and out usually within 20 minutes to an hour, depending on how backed up we are.
Have you ever had this is kind of like a bike ER, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Have you ever had a bike show up that was just terminal? There's
Yes,
no hope
absolutely.
for it?
It's in the back right now, actually. It's totaled, we like to call it, like a car would be. So yeah, it unfortunately met too much damage, and it's just the cost of the parts and labor are too much.
So it's just back there to scare people off. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay, so that's the bikes part.
Yeah.
Tell about coffee.
Yeah.
Right now, you were very good to fix me a drink I've never had before called the Nitro. Tell us what the Nitro is.
Yeah, so that's a nitro cold brew is what that is. And so we, first of all, I'll say that we're using Lexington Coffee Roasters. And those guys are up on 81 in Lexington. Fantastic local roastery, family-owned operation. We really like working with these guys. They produce some really awesome coffees, and we are their sole. They're our sole provider for roasted beans. And yeah, the Nitro Cold Brew is great. It's steeped overnight in cold water. It's served on draft like a beer would be served. It's served cold, and it pours like a Guinness would pour. So it's out of a high-pressure nitrogen tap. You get a cascade effect like you would with a stout, but it's a non-alcoholic, full black, cold brewed coffee that's really smooth, and people really enjoy.
And I do too.
Yeah.
And I saw on your website that you have menu here for food. You offer breakfast, lunch, and supper. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We do breakfast bowls and lunch and dinner bowls. Yeah, and so the breakfast bowls we use locally sourced grits out of North Carolina that are stone ground, locally made, really delicious. And then it's topped with sweet and savory, or sweet or savory toppings, things like cheddar cheese, sausage, fried egg, spinach.
Ooh.
Yeah, so really good for breakfast. Lunches are also equally as delicious. They're white or brown rice, and then beans, black or pinto beans. We have a meat of the day, which is usually like a shredded pork or shredded beef, and again, similar toppings: spinach, cheese, tomato, onion. Yep. So it's kind of like a burrito bowl, fresh bowl.
And G, you had lunch here today.
I did. Steve, do you have a menu? Let me see
Yeah,
one
let me
of your
grab one
menus
for
real
you.
quick. I'll tell you what I had today.
All right.
I had 2 bowls. Yeah, I came in here and had 2 bowls, not to do anything like, critiquing. I was just really hungry. And when Tim told me to check out your menu, this is exactly what I would eat at home. And when I looked at the menu, I was like, dang, I could eat here every day.
Yep.
Because I'm, despite the appearance, I'm pretty finicky on what I eat. I like clean
Oh, he's
food.
finicky, all right.
I'm a vegetarian. So this was right up my alley.
Great, yeah.
So yes, I did enjoy the breakaway today. The gruppetto, is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I enjoyed both of those. So,
Yep.
cheap too, man.
Yeah.
$5.50 for a bowl.
Yep.
I mean, I really didn't have to have two, but I did two.
Yep. And all of our bowls are actually served in compostable material.
I was going to ask you about that. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, so-
like wooden.
Yeah, I mean, I have a science
You
background.
mean it'll catch on fire?
It could actually, yeah, probably. It's made out of like reusable, or not reusable, but reclaimed like bamboo shreds. So they're all compostable materials. It's all environmentally friendly. Our cups are biodegradable. So
Very neat.
yeah, everything
I
we have is
noticed.
environmentally friendly.
Also noticed you had 7-ounce Miller ponies. In
We
the
do
fridge.
have pony bottles in there for a
What's the
whopping
story with
$1 a
that?
piece.
Yeah,
So
what's up with that?
our friend John Park, who's a great guy here in Roanoke, who does a lot of you see him, I think he has a Twitter feed called The Hungry Asian. And so he features a lot of different restaurants around Roanoke, and he suggested that we carry High Life. And so our rep said, well, we have the pony bottles. And so we were like, sold, that's great.
You just never see those anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I could have probably a pony or two of those tonight. What do you think?
Me too. A pony to go. Yeah, we'll ride out of here on a
Yeah,
pony.
right out.
So upstairs, it's going to be rented out for Airbnb? Is
That's
that
correct. Yep. We have 2 single bedrooms up there.
Fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Because starting out in something that as new of a concept as this, to have that also is huge, I think.
It's great. And right now we have 2 people upstairs that are visiting from, I want to say they're from like Virginia Beach, or they're near the coast, and they brought their fat bikes with them. And so we talked to them last night, and this morning they had, these big, huge 5-inch tire
I
fat
love
bikes.
those fat bikes. Are you going to get those here?
Maybe. I mean, depending on how much snow we have here, I don't know. But I used to commute on a fat bike in Alaska, so they're super fun and they're really great to ride. But yeah, people specifically stay upstairs because they love the idea of being above the shop. They want to come in, have a beer, go for a ride, and we could store their bikes. Not that they didn't choose to do that, but we could do that, store the bikes down here safely, that they don't have to worry about it. So yeah, it's a great asset. We want people to take the train in and stay here. And,
It's exciting stuff.
Yep.
So you got the Airbnb going, and we went over the coffee and the food. We went over the bikes. Tell us a little bit about your beer selection.
Yeah.
I think you feature lots of local beer.
Exactly, yeah. So we wanted to do all regional beer, and so we kind of broadly define regional as East Coast. And so right now we have 6 draft beers on tap, and each one of those is from, well, what do we have? We have 5 Virginia beers and 1 Pennsylvania beer on there right now. So the furthest away we like to do is like, maybe New York or Massachusetts, and then we have also a wide variety of craft beer in the cooler there, which is all of our bottles and cans, and those are nationwide, so we have those beers from everywhere. But it's important to highlight the local stuff. There's so much great beer in Roanoke and the surrounding Virginia area and the Carolinas, and it's great to kind of support local business, and so that's kind of what we're trying to do.
I agree. In supporting the local breweries, I think I'll have a Belgian blonde. Can you pour us one of those?
I can
Draw us
certainly
one of
do
those?
that. Yeah, if you guys
Go ahead
want
and
to
give it a
split
try.
one, or split.
You want to
half
split
and
one of
half, or
those,
what do you
Ted?
think?
Well, I'm not much into splitting that, Steve.
Yeah, I think we could probably each handle one.
Yeah.
These are out of Forest, Virginia. It's a Sinful Blonde, it's called. It's a cranberry Belgian. You should,
Okay.
I mean, if you're...
A salute.
Salute.
Downshift bike.
Let's see the
I had an idea for you,
Yeah,
Steve.
that's nice.
You've heard that song, 1 bourbon, 1 scotch, 1 beer?
Yeah.
Well, my idea is 1 nitro, 1 bike, 1 beer.
I like it.
Okay?
So,
We can sell you all
See,
those.
I'm on 2/3 of that equation right now. But anyway, getting back to the beer here, I also saw where you have build your own 6-pack. What is that exactly?
Yeah, so basically, if you're a fan of craft beer, most people like to sample different craft beers, and so the idea of buying a full 6-pack of something that you're unsure of or that you haven't tried before can be a little off-putting to certain people. So what's great about Build Your Own 6-pack is you can choose either breweries that you like or styles that you like and pick an individual beer, so 1 bottle, 1 can, or 1 whatever. Throw that into a 6-pack, and you have a mix and match 6-pack of anything you want, whether it's IPAs or pale ales or porters or stouts or lagers, and so you can build your own 6-pack of anything you want.
the vibe in here, Steve, is a little bit like Friends could be.
Yeah.
Except, You know, it's not
Is that
necessarily-
Courtney Cox?
But have you thought about that? It's kind
Yeah.
of so unique.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people come in and tell us that they like the vibe. You know, it feels friendly. People, everybody knows their name. You know, not to reference Cheers, but you know, it's a cool vibe, and like we wanted
think
it to
so,
really
too.
be a community focused, you know, friendly, approachable bike shop. I mean, that's ultimately what we wanted, is to make it accessible to everybody, you know, regardless of income level, regardless of race and gender, and so you know, approachable for everybody in Roanoke. Yeah.
The buddy I came with for lunch today, or here, you know, for lunch, wanted to know about outside seating. Any idea if you'll do al fresco dining?
We do, actually. Upstairs,
do?
we have a
Okay.
rooftop patio.
Oh, he did mention that. He thought,
It's
oh.
still under development, yeah. So right now we only have one table up there with 4 seats, but in the spring we're going to be pushing to get some more seating up there. We have some planters that are going to in the works, and some rooftop amenities.
Gotcha.
But great view of Mill Mountain, great view of downtown. So it'll be really fun.
How's that work? How would you be on the roof in order?
We have to figure that out. You're allowed to take a beer from here upstairs, so you could potentially order down here and take it up there and sit. You just can't leave the property with the beer. So we may end up having to hire people and do some table service or something.
After waiting tables for years, dude, I would not want to have that section up on the roof.
Walking up and down the stairs all day long.
But
Yeah,
but great
get
idea.
your step counted. Yeah.
Yeah, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
That's right.
Now this.
Hey, know a good topic or person for the show? Contact us on email or Instagram at T-Bone's Best of Roanoke Show. Now, back to the show!
We're here with Steve Ambrose at Downshift Bikes, and the general manager here is Kelsey Harrington. And I have a question for you, Steve. You've been here 2 months. How would you rate Roanoke as a biking community?
Yeah, I think it's evolving. I think every day I see more people riding around the city. And in the short time that I've been here since June, I think I feel more comfortable on the road. I think we've seen new people. You know, we sold bikes to people that are new riders. We fixed up bikes for people that are new riders. And just, you know, the push that the city has in terms of making it more safe with bike lanes and more bike infrastructure, adding things like the Zagster bike share, you know, all those things are positive influences to the cycling community here. And so I think big picture wise, Roanoke still has a long way to go, but I think it's taking the correct steps, and people are making the changes needed to grow Roanoke as a bike friendly city.
And would you just, in a nutshell, tell us what the Zagster bike share program is?
Yeah. Well, Ride Solutions had this great idea to bring a bike share, which is a way to do short-term bicycle rentals to get around the city. And so all you need is a smartphone. Excuse me, a smartphone. It doesn't require any cash up front. And what you do is you go to the Zagster stations with your phone, and you're allowed to rent a bike. And so you can rent it for as little as 5 minutes or as long as a day, and it'll charge you based on how long you have the bike for. You basically ride the bike around anywhere in Roanoke, drop it off at one of the stations that are scattered around, and it's a great way to not use your car. So,
G's done that, right?
Used it an awful lot to go to and from work for a while. Yes. So I like that. My wife does. We've got 5 children. And
yeah.
we all use it.
Okay, so it's simple to access and
Yep.
just plug into.
Well, hey, let me ask you a question on your bike sales. Are they all new bikes, Steve, or do you sell used?
We have new and used, yeah. Primarily we do new, but we have bicycles that are more classic used bikes. So they are typically steel frames, or like old Schwinn's, or old Specialized bikes that are steel framed. They're comfortable, they're casual, they're made to be ridden around the city. They have things like pannier racks and lights and fenders, and so that's what our used market is going to be. And the bikes are as cheap as $99, so they're really affordable, really easy to get into. Yep.
Yeah, it is very cheap.
Your rating as far as the community for bicycling in Roanoke, it's evolving, it's growing, that's very good. What about some of these specific places to go ride a bike? What are some of the best places to go?
Yeah.
And some of the toughest places to
Right,
go?
yeah. Well, Roanoke has a fantastic greenway system that I think is probably the best place to ride a bike if you're either new to Roanoke or new to bicycling. The greenways stretch for, I think, 25 miles maybe through Salem, through Vinton, all the way around Roanoke. And
So you'd recommend that for
Yeah, absolutely.
bike beginners?
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
There's several places where you can drive to, park your car, take your bike off your car, and then access the Greenway right there. So it's really approachable for people. It's relatively flat. It's beautiful. It's scenic. It's right along the river, so it's really picturesque. It has great amenities to stop at, like the Green Goat restaurant or Blue Cow ice cream. So it's like you can bike to ice cream or bike to food. So that's really fun.
Always a motivation.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have really challenging places to ride around Roanoke too, like Mill Mountain and like Carvin's Cove, which are certainly more advanced trail riding. And so, and then we have great things to do for tours. You can bike up to the Blue Ridge Parkway and then cycle the Parkway and then turn around and come back. And so there are serious hill climbs and really great scenery. So Roanoke's got a wide variety of riding.
The motto you have, I really liked your motto. It's bringing bikes to life.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about that. If you think about that, it's got some good meaning.
Yeah. There's some meaning to it. I think it is sort of double-sided in a way because obviously bicycles can't come alive like a transformer or something, but they do sort of have their own their personalities. Each bike is different. And so that's kind of what the mission of the shop is to do custom bikes and to make people really enjoy biking and really take ownership of their bike and think of it as a part of their life rather than just an accessory that they kind of hang sits in the garage or something. And so bringing bikes to life obviously means we want to take biking to people and make it part of their life, and we also want to give bikes their own character and their own kind of personality. Yeah.
Tim, what was the logo when we interviewed last weekend? What was the
That
logo
was
that
at,
I was so enamored
He
with?
was enamored with bikes, beer, and brains.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you heard
Have
that?
you ever heard of
yeah.
bikes, beer, and brains?
Well, yeah, that's what the Blue Ridge.
Exactly
Yeah,
right.
it's Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge is pushing that
What
as
a great...
yes. Right?
No,
I know. I like to say
slogan.
we have two of them here, so you guys
Yeah.
can pick which two.
I just think they're so similar, and I think they could draw off each other. I love it.
Well, I'll give G and Steve the last word here. Is there anything else you want to bring up? Any other things I might have forgot to cover? Any other highlights?
Yeah, the one thing that we didn't talk about was we have a program called Community Upshift, which we're just getting started on. Yep, and what that is we've gotten several donations of used bicycles from people around the community. And what we do is we'll volunteer our time and some spare parts to get these bikes in fully functional, restored condition. And then we take nominations from community members who either need a way to get around town or just got a new job and need a place to get, need to get to work. So and then we donate these bicycles to them. And so, it's a really great program that we have so that we can get more people out riding, no cost to them. And it's basically a way for us to get more people on bikes in Roanoke that maybe can't afford to ride. So.
And you make it a point on your website to focus on your community relations, and that would be part of it.
Right, absolutely.
Giving back to the community.
Yep.
Well, that's a nice approach. I had never thought of that one. Okay. Any other last words there, G?
Another beer, please.
Well, Steve, thank you very much, and we're so glad you're in the neighborhood, and we'll be seeing you around.
Come on, baby, let the good time roll. Come on, baby, let me thrill your soul. Come on, baby, let the good time roll. Roll all night long. Come on, baby, yes, this is something I just can't miss. Come on, baby, let the good time roll. Roll all night long.
Come on, baby, while the thrill is on. Come on, baby, let's have some fun. Come on, baby, let the good time roll. Roll all night long. Come on, baby, just close the door. Come on, baby, let's rock some more. Come on, baby, let the good time roll. Roll all night long. Feels so good when you're home.
Come let the good time roll. Roll all night long.
Feels so good when you're home.
Come on, baby, rock me all night long. Come on, baby, let the good time roll. Come on, baby, let me thrill your soul. Come on, baby, let the good time roll.